And our defense plays so much better.
Yep.
That nice little goal line stand was impressive.
Yeah.
Kentucky went for that 4th and half yard, didn't make it. So I don't know. Maybe we got some different guys in there right now. Maybe they're bonding a little bit. Maybe they want to play the best they can. So I've seen teams that can turn it around at some point, and we can do that. And we've lost to three really good teams.
Yeah, 3.
So hey, let's get behind our guys, which our fans were. Our fans were there screaming and yelling, and see if we can't finish this thing up with a winning season and go win a bowl game, and away we go.
There we go. Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate all of our sponsors. We got a ton of stuff to go over. Coach Spurrier will be in here in a little bit. And then Chris Harry is going to do Yes, No, Where, Maybe. We wanted to talk a little basketball with him, so we'll talk some basketball with him. So the show may go a little long, and if you've got an hour on the treadmill, you may have to go a little longer, or you could just listen somewhere else. But anyway, we will get started right away. But I did want to mention that Thursday should be a blast. Danny Werfel's going to join us. Can't wait for that. Working on next weekend's. And I had an absolute blast with the 94 team. 84 team. I keep saying 94. I even wrote it down as 94. 84 team. 94 team was good too. 84 guys out there. Had so much fun. We actually won the tournament. I had a good team. It wasn't me, although I did make an eagle putt. Anyway, that was so much fun. They had great, and they raised a lot of money to help everything out. So anyway, let us get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5. And of course, I mentioned the golf tournament is tomorrow out at Bostic for them, and they will be, and I think Matt Stinchcomb is speaking, Georgia week, so next week. So if you want to become a member, man, it's a good time to be. I think it goes Matt Stinchcomb, and then Jacob Hester is going to be a speaker. So a lot of really good speakers coming up. Let's get to number 1 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club, starting 5, and that is the obvious, which is Florida needed a win. Billy Napier needed a win. But not only that, Florida needed to play well in this game. I'm not saying they could have lost if they'd play well. You don't win too many games if you don't play well. So that would not be good. But I'm just saying they needed to play well and win. And it was a perfect night, really. Crowd was incredible. We saw things we never thought we'd see, like Jaden Baugh scoring 5 touchdowns, tying Tim Tebow and Trey Burton for the record all-time at Florida. We also saw Florida double its interception total. Who has been more vocal about lack of interceptions over the last few years than myself? And they got 3 last year. This year, they had 3 coming into the game and got 3 in the game. And look, that's how you get to 48 points. It's not just the offense. Now, the offense was great, and all the things they were able to do, run the ball was great. Hitting the big, long passes was great. I believe me, I love seeing that. But you get interceptions, you get short fields, or in one case, you run it back all the way. In the case of Cormani McClain, that's exactly what they did. So, look, was I surprised? Yeah, I was a little surprised they played that well. I was a little surprised they were able to handle and manhandle, I thought, Kentucky in a lot of I'm not saying every play they won. I mean, Jordan Baugh did have a couple of losses on yardage, rushing attempts. Jaden Baugh, sorry. I've been saying Jordan Baugh mistakenly, and now I know how to get it's Jadan now. I know that too. So, but this guy I'm not going to say he came out of nowhere, because last spring I went, man, that Baugh guy, big, seems to be fast, seems to be able to knock people over, seems to have good moves. He may be a factor, and then I'm thinking he may be the backup. Well, don't forget, Florida won this game without its starting quarterback, without its starting and backup running backs, and then lost Jason Marshall, I would guess, for the year with a shoulder injury, and that's in the third quarter. So I mean, look, they're beaten up. This team is beaten up, and they keep coming back and they keep telling you we're not done yet. And I give them all kinds of credit in the world for that. I really do. I believe that I don't know that Billy Napier turned the corner. I don't know that this team turned the corner, but it sure felt like it's Saturday night. And the good thing is you have 2 weeks to enjoy it. Look, you may watch the Georgia game and go, well, I was wrong about that. And look, this is what happens. College football fans are fickle all over the country. All over the country. It's not just here. It's everywhere. USC fans want Lincoln Riley out. You know, they fired 2 coaches this week. 2 coaches got fired and 2 assistants got fired too. 2 offensive coordinators got fired. So this is what we deal with in college football, but you just be happy for this. Be happy for a week, okay, at least. Let's get to number 2. This is a stat on our Gator quarterback club, Gainesville quarterback club, starting 5. This is a stat that I looked up before Florida won the game because I was curious. Because A&M was winning, Tennessee was winning, and I said, hey, let me look this stat up, and here is what it is. The 3 teams that Florida has lost to are now 19-2. So maybe it's possible that they were just really good and kind of caught Florida a little bit by surprise in some areas, and one of them they should have beat. They had a chance to beat. Again, we're not going to relive the Tennessee game. They had a chance to beat them. Went to overtime with them. Those teams are 19-2 right now, and they have a bunch of big wins. The teams they've beaten, Florida's beaten, the 4 teams, are 10-16. But the good thing is they beat the teams they should have beaten. And really, you know, none of them were games that were close. They took care of the teams they should have beaten. The bad news is the next 4 teams they play are combined 23-5. So it's going to get very difficult again. But, hey, let's see what happens. But I thought that was an interesting stat, that 19-2 is the record. And I'll use this on the radio again today, too. This stat I'm using everywhere. I used it on Lizzie's podcast today. So I'm using it everywhere. Anyway, let's get to number 3 on our Gainesville quarterback club starting 5, which is, I think it's very important for us to all remember that Kentucky came into that game 4th in the nation in defense. I think they were 3rd in rushing defense. That was a good defense, and Florida manhandled. They took care of them. Give some credit to the offensive line. We're always ripping the offensive line. Hey, pat them on the back, man. Now, not for too long because you got another big game coming up, but they created holes, and they protected the quarterback. And they got the job done. You score 48. Now, I know one of them was a defensive touchdown. One was set up by a defensive play. But you score 48, and the offensive line's got to get some credit for that. So I'm giving them a lot of credit. But more than anything, it was that the defensive line got pressure. And that's 3 games in a row. Think about this. Florida, in its last 3 games, gave up 13. And this is in regulation and not including special teams or interceptions, okay? Gave up 13 points, 17 points, and 13 points. Last 3 games. That's winning football, as I mentioned. Now, they won 2 of those 3 games, and obviously the Tennessee game being the loss. But my point is, they're playing good enough. This is all we ever asked, was that for them to play good enough football. And I think I talked about this last week. If they, on the defensive side, the offense would take care of itself, and it has. So, look, I don't know where this team's going, but I know where it is right now, and that's a good place. I think the noise will quiet down, but we all know it can crank right back up the following week. Let's get to number 4 on our Gainesville quarterback club starting 5, and that is the games of the weekend. There were incredible games. I watched the Duke FSU game right up here at Visors, actually, the second half of it. The Georgia-Texas game, and I don't know, I'm sure most of you know that the bottles that were thrown, and it was the worst call I've ever seen. And then they reversed it, even though they weren't supposed to be able to reverse it, but they did anyway, and the bottles came down, and it was just a mess. And it's not a good look for the league. But I will say this. Welcome to the SEC, Texas. Referees are going to protect some teams. You might as well know that. But then that's what I was thinking when that play happened. Then I'm thinking, holy crap, Texas is still going to get its way. Like, they got their way in the Big 12 on everything, and that's what they always say. Oh, we want this, and you can't have it. And now they come to the SEC, and it's different. No, maybe it's not. They got a call return that you can't overturn. And then the game is in doubt, but Georgia just said, we're too good for you. I was wrong about Texas. I was wrong about Georgia. And to be honest with you, I was wrong about Tennessee. Tennessee's got – that defense is so good. And go back to this stat again, 19-2. I mean, that's without still having played Texas and Georgia. But that Tennessee team finds ways to win games. And they may not be an elite team, but they're going to get in the playoffs. They keep this up. So, anyway, it was a really fun Saturday of football. I enjoyed it very much. And USC losing again to Maryland, and that game, it looked like they had won the whole way, found a way to lose it. It was unbelievable. There were just a lot of great games, and obviously Tennessee beating Alabama. Now, I will say this. I was wrong about them, too, and I thought Alabama was better than that, but Tennessee's pretty good. I was wrong about Tennessee. I was wrong about a lot. I went 1-4 in my picks that I do for the website. And a lot of, like I said earlier, Southern Miss fired their coach. East Carolina fired their coach. Utah and Oklahoma fired their offensive coordinators. So this is, we talk about talking season, this is firing season. That's the truth. All right, finally on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting five, I talked about volleyball last week, so I want to give them their credit. 2 sweeps in a row, Friday and Sunday. Give them a lot of credit for that. I know they're struggling, and hopefully to have a big weekend like that, they needed something like that. And to win them both 3-0, give credit to Mary Wise. I mean, she hasn't forgotten how to coach. They're just struggling right now. Alexis Stuckey, I talked to some people about her, and they said she's not quite there with her speed. She's there with everything else, and maybe she's going to get there very soon. We'll see what happens down the stretch with them. They're going to be fine. I hope I didn't alarm anybody by talking about how they were struggling so much, but that's why I want to make sure I give them good pub this weekend after a good weekend. All right, and they don't. I think they play Friday night. Yes, at home. So that was 2 sweeps on the road too. Now I know that those aren't elite teams in this conference, but it's still pretty good. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to the HBC, see what he thinks about the Gators win and what he thinks about some of the other stuff that happened this weekend, because it was a crazy weekend, as you know. And the Dukies winning, too. We'll talk about that as well. Here on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership at quarterbackclub.org or visit the quarterbackclub.org. Or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant. And you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And, of course, Meldon Law also sponsors Coach Spurrier's appearance on the show. In a minute, we'll have the Campus USA play of the weekend, which is also Coach Spurrier is a sponsor for. He's everywhere. You're everywhere. I can't. I
am.
We were here Friday night. We had a blast Friday night up at Advisors. And the place was packed.
Is that right?
Night.
Yeah, we had the Hall of Fame event.
And then you had a lot of the soccer players came over that were here for the. They did a big thing on the SEC Storied about Florida going from startup to winning a national championship in soccer. So a lot of the soccer players were back for that. So they were here. It was just packed with a lot of people. It was a lot of fun. We watched the second half of the Duke FSU game here and had a blast. And of course, all the Gator fans were cheering for Dookie.
Yeah, the Dukies are 6-1, and we're having our 35th year reunion of the ACC championship team of '89.
That's right. It's 35.
So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the guys, and we'll have a good crowd. We've been coming back, since 5 years after we won it, since '94. So a bunch of the guys are really looking forward to it. It's the only one in the last 62 years that Duke has won. So I guess it's a pretty big deal.
If I told you before the season that at this point in the season Duke would be 6-1 and FSU would be 1-6, I'm gonna guarantee you would have thought there was something wrong with me.
Yeah, it is amazing. For a team that was 13-0 at one point last year is now 1-6. But that's how fast it can go bad. That's how fast you can go in the wrong direction. I think we're heading in the right direction after the other night.
Feels like it, yeah.
I tell you what, now we've lost to two really good teams, Texas A&M and Miami. So had a chance to beat Tennessee, obviously. Didn't work out.
I mean, here's the stat for you, Coach. The three teams Florida's lost to are 19-2 right now.
Yeah. That's our three losses.
Yeah.
And obviously we had a good chance to beat Tennessee, and it just didn't work out. But I think we got a chance to beat everybody we play. But we got to play well and not play something stupid. Got to avoid all kind of stupid little things. And we got the players, we got the coaches to win a whole bunch of these last five.
Well, I mean, there were things that happened in that game that I wasn't. I mean, first of all, Kentucky, I know everybody was kind of poo-pooing Kentucky, but Kentucky's defense was legit coming into that game. Yeah. They were giving up 250 yards a game, and Florida almost got 500 on them. And that goes back to I know you love seeing those deep balls.
Deep balls.
Being thrown.
Yeah. To think that DJ Lagway only threw 14 passes and hit 7 for about 250 or 60 yards, whatever it was. But, yeah, hitting the big balls and being able to run the ball. Elijah Badger had 3 receptions for about 150 yards. He averaged about 50 a catch. And then the running back, Jaden Baugh, 5 touchdowns. I didn't even know who he was until I said, who's that number 13? Man, he's a good player.
I will take credit for this one. In the spring game, I said that guy might be pretty good. And he's turned. And early in the season, he was kind of a little tentative, but I think that he ran hard, ran over people.
Yeah, he did, and he hits a tiny little hole, and he comes out the other side, which he did on that touchdown was really a good play. But I've seen it happen. In fact, going back to my Duke team that 35 years ago won the ACC, we had a redshirt freshman running back, and he was playing behind another guy. Well, the other guy got the wind knocked out of him. And so we put Randy Cuthbert in the game against Clemson. He ran for about 75 yards in the second half against them, and then went on and averaged about 170 yards a game. rushed for over 1,000 yards, and that's a big reason we won the ACC.
Yeah.
We were able to run the ball, play pretty good defense. We were limited talent on defense, but those guys played their hearts out. So you can find running backs, what I'm trying to say, the fourth or fifth game of the season, and that's what we did, and hopefully this will continue.
And I mean, Montrell being out is a blow, you would think, and certainly Trayon Webb was his backup. So this is basically Florida's third-team tailback, and just ran for over 100 yards and scored 5 touchdowns against. And that tells you. And again, I'm not going to be one of these guys who's just saying, "Now we got to love Billy," but he's built a pretty good roster, and this is what we talked about in the preseason, to have 4 tailbacks that can go in and do stuff. Now, when you get guys hurt, I said this before the season, you find out how good your depth is by how many when you get injuries. That's when you find out.
And our defense plays so much better.
Yep.
That nice little goal line stand was impressive.
Yeah.
Kentucky went for that 4th and half yard, didn't make it. So I don't know. Maybe we got some different guys in there right now. Maybe they're bonding a little bit. Maybe they want to play the best they can. So I've seen teams that can turn it around at some point, and we can do that. And we've lost to 3 really good teams.
Yeah, 3.
So hey, let's get behind our guys, which our fans were. Our fans were there screaming and yelling, and see if we can't finish this thing up with a winning season and go win a bowl game, and away we go.
There we go. But speaking of which, that was a good segue from Elijah Badger, because our Campus USA play of the weekend, of course, was this play. And this was a big play, Steve, because the game was still in doubt, and it was a 3rd down. And to go for that, and what a catch that is. That was just incredible. That was the first time I went, okay, I think they're going to win, because I'm always a pessimist. But that play was where, because if they have to give the ball back, and it's a 2-touchdown game at that point, and that certainly was a huge play.
Yeah, that's a beautiful throw too. Back in our day, we used to tell everybody, well, he's covered, throw it somewhere else. But nowadays they throw it, that back shoulder, and it's up to the receiver to make a play. And Badger made a nice play right there on a perfectly thrown pass also.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That arm of Lagway, you can see what he can do. And it, the pick was a bad throw. I mean, it wasn't a bad read. It was just a bad throw. He went too sidearm on that one.
I really think, I don't know, but he thought the receiver was going to break in.
Okay.
And he kept going, and so the DB was there.
Yeah.
I think, you have some of these routes where, well, if there's guys head up, you break. If there's an opening, you run the seam route. And our receiver ran sort of a seam route. I don't know. But he threw it to the spot where it looked like he thought he was going to break into. Yeah.
Well, as soon as he went really sidearm, I was just kind of like, oh no.
Yeah, but he's been very accurate. Got to give him credit on all his passes. That touchdown against Tennessee, he zinged him right down the middle for the touchdown that put us in position to win that one.
And again, remember, this is a true freshman we're talking about. And somebody was called our radio show the other day, and they were talking about how, like Coach Spurrier developed Danny Werfel, and he was ready to go. I go, Danny Werfel really wasn't the full-time starter until his redshirt junior year, because they went back and forth, him and Terry Dean. Not only that, but he redshirted, a year. So it takes time sometimes. And then he became a Heisman Trophy winner.
Well, he and Terry both played 93 and 94. Yeah. We weren't afraid to play 2 quarterbacks as we went, and whoever's playing the best at the time can stay in there. And it's good to have 2. And Texas, they put Arch Manning in for a little bit, and then they put their other quarterback back. But anyway, I don't know. If you're comfortable playing a couple of guys, that's fine. But if you feel like you need one, it's best for your team, then do that. Head coaches got to have a feel for what they think's the best way to do it.
Well, I'm sure Gator fans are glad that they did play both quarterbacks there for a while, because then Lagway was better prepared.
That's right.
To
He's
be
ready.
In this bad situation.
Now we got to keep him healthy, though.
Yeah, well, I did like his slides. He did slide short, though, one time of the first down marker. He's got to learn that. But I did like him sliding. I did want to – you mentioned I wanted to talk to you about the Georgia-Texas game, because I said this earlier on the show. I was wrong about Texas, man. I thought they were just going to roll through this. I think a lot of people thought Texas was way better than anybody else in this conference, and we were all wrong because Georgia just showed them what the SEC's all about.
Yeah, Georgia was really up for that game.
Yeah, they were.
Fans out there can tell some teams are really up for the game. The other teams everybody's been patting them on the back. Man, Texas, you guys are the greatest. Yep. And Texas played like they thought they were the greatest for a while, but they did get it back to, 23-15 at one time, something like that?
Yeah. Well, after that play. That was a big controversy, obviously, with, the original play, I said, that is the worst call I've ever seen. But they made the call. And then the bottles came throwing down. They had to stop play. They had to delay it. And then they got together and they go, no, maybe it was a bad call. And I've never seen that happen in my life, ever. And the SEC's already said, that was wrong. They shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have changed the call. They also fined Texas $250,000
for the bottles.
For the bottles being thrown. But it was a wild scene there for a while. But they did cut back into the lead. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they have a rule: you can't sell bottles at the game. You have to sell cans of beers. I guess
these were almost all water bottles, and so but why would you throw a water bottle? What's it going to hurt?
Yeah, I tell you, the water bottles are very thin plastic, so they wouldn't hurt if they hit you.
No.
But maybe these were heavy ones. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just kind of wild, and it was crazy that we had to see something like that. And I think Greg Sankey's just losing his mind because people are storming the field, they're throwing stuff on the field, and he finds them, and nobody cares because they're giving him so much money, and nobody cares about it. I mean, you can almost get away with whatever you want. So that game, and then Tennessee beating Alabama. So that game was almost exactly like the Florida game. They didn't score in the first half. But Alabama couldn't put it away, 7-0 at the half, and then Tennessee gets it going in the second half and pulls away and wins the game.
Well, they hit that 3rd and 6 touchdown.
Yep, that was a big one.
If they don't hit that, and Nico did make a perfect throw on that one, but he was off on so many during the course of the game. But that one was there. And let's say he makes a bad throw there or they miss that, so they kick a field goal and go into overtime. So either team could have won. I mean, when you play a 3-point game or this, that, and the other, it's a play or two that determines the winner.
Exactly.
And, of course, Tennessee's won both the last two at home, Florida and Alabama. So if they keep playing those games, though, they're not going to win all of them like that.
That's like Miami.
It runs out after a while.
Miami keeps winning these close games. And I'm like, eventually somebody's not going to, fall down. But hey, they're undefeated, and that's what you have to do. Like your '96 team, there were very few close games. I mean, they were blowout. Didn't get close till you got to Vanderbilt, of all places.
That one turned into a 7-point win.
Yeah,
we didn't. We didn't play a lot of close games. We won about half of our close ones and seemed to lose them. And what's interesting, Auburn is 2-5 right now, so they're really struggling. They're losing every close game, and
had a 17.
In our 4 years when we won the 4 SECs in a row, we only lost 2 SEC games, both to Auburn. Auburn used to be pretty good, people out there, if they don't remember.
They ended undefeated the first year they beat you. They ended up going undefeated, but they couldn't go anywhere because of probation.
93, 94. They're the only two teams, two Auburn teams that we lost SEC games. But they're struggling right now, and you got to win your close games to have a big season. It seems like most teams are pretty similar right now, talent-wise.
I think especially right now in the SEC, it's really
pretty similar.
Way. Yeah, everybody's pretty much the same.
Even Vandy.
Oh,
Vandy's got another win.
They're ranked. Yeah. Although I don't know why you would rank somebody because they beat Ball State.
Well, they beat Alabama and Kentucky back to back.
You should have ranked them then, though.
Yeah, you should have.
But anyway, you got anything else, Coach?
Oh, I think that's about it for today. Of course, we're open this week, and then the Georgia game next week. So, I'm looking forward to watching that one. I think if we play our best, certainly got a good chance, no question.
Yeah, like you said, you just can't make the mistake. I mean, there was only one problem. Obviously, they had to call a timeout down near the goal line. They couldn't get the right play in. There was and that was one of those timeouts where you go, oh, not again. But then they scored. So I give them a credit for also for bouncing back a lot of teams will go into a shell when they lose a game like that Tennessee game on the road. And yet that flight back is agony, and nobody's talking. And you don't – it's hard to get back up. They got back up. They obviously had a good week of practice too, because you don't play like that if you didn't have a good week of practice.
Our fans did a super job Saturday night also. They were there screaming and yelling and giving good support. So, we're sitting, 4-3? And, we need to win 3 of these last 5 or even all 5. And, man, it'd be a good year and a good springboard, I think, for next year.
Yep, you can see they got good players on this team. They're finally coming around.
Heck, if we win them all,
I
said I think a 9-3 team can make the playoffs.
Never know.
Yeah, it's who's hot at the end of the year.
Yep.
And Alabama's got 2 losses. They probably got another one coming. I would think Tennessee may have another one coming. I don't know. LSU, they got 1, but they're undefeated.
They may
in
get one
conference
this
play.
week. They got Texas A&M this week.
Texas A&M, yeah. When everybody plays everybody, there's a lot of losses.
That'll be that'll
people.
be a great atmosphere in College Station for that game. Yeah,
it'll be a good one.
All right, we'll let Coach go. We'll be back with Chris Harry is going to do Yes, No, Where, Maybe today and talk a little college basketball, Gator basketball, of course. We'll be back with that and more on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Usually we have Robbie Andrew on for this segment for Yes, No, Where, or Maybe, but today we're bringing on Chris Harry because we are on the verge of college basketball season. Chris Harry, of course, from FloridaGators.com. What is it, a week away from today, right, that the Gators open the season?
2 weeks.
2 weeks from
2
today.
weeks from today. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're right here. I mean, it kind of snuck up on me a little bit, but I know you've been out there watching these guys the whole time and watching their practices. And basically, I just want to know your general thoughts about it.
General thoughts about it are, Pat, I believe this is a pretty good team. It'd be hard pressed to say, are they as good as that team from 7 years ago that won 28 games? It's a much better league. There's a bunch of teams are expected to, make the NCAA tournament this season. A bunch of really good players are back playing at the same school, which is unusual, of course. Mm-hmm. But Florida has 5 guys back that played a lot of basketball last year for a team that won 24 games, which was the most wins here in 7 years. Only 3 transfer players. All of them will be impact players. Roll into these 5 returning guys. Not sure yet who's going to be that. I call them the 8.5 man, 9th man, or whatever. Todd likes to play 8 guys, but it's a good team, and they're going to be better defensively because they've committed to it, and they have better defensive players to go into that system. And this is year 3 for Todd Golden. He knows what he wants. He has a blueprint, and he's recruited to it. And I think he's done a really, really good job to date, and I think it's going to be a good team.
Recruiter to it and portal to it, and obviously
Portal to it. That counts.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good guy from Florida Atlantic who is going to be a big time player, we think, for Florida. And I mean, will he play kind of a off guard, or will he play the point, or how is that going to work?
No, Elijah Martin is going to be probably a two guard who will play some three sometimes, depending on the Will Richards situation. But Elijah Martin is a guy who can probably guard three positions on the perimeter. He's a rebounder. I mean, the last 3 years, he's averaged nearly 14 points a game and started, I want to say, close to 100 games. Really, really good player. He played on a team that won 60 games the last 2 seasons. So, and he's got a defensive mindset to him, which I think can be contagious. Walter Clayton went into the NBA underclassmen assessment thing, as did Will Richard, and they both got feedback telling them they need to be better defensive players. This guy's going to help them do that. They came back committed to it, and to have this guy there between them, helping them, showing them the way on that front. He's also got a leadership chip about him. He talks a lot to the team, and that's a good thing. And he knows what winning looks like. He's been to a Final Four. He was MVP on that Final Four team for Florida Atlantic. So he's going to make a serious impact, as is Ruben Chignello, another transfer. He's from Washington State. He'll be the starting center. Crazy athlete. Sam Alexis from UT Chattanooga averaged almost a double-double there. He's not going to start, but he's going to play quite a bit. And then you have Alex Condon back. You have Tommy Hawk back. You have Denzel Aberdeen back. Good team.
Yeah,
Walter Clayton has a chance. Walter Clayton has a chance to be a first-team All-League player, if not a contend for the highest honors in the conference.
You know me, Chris. I'm a show-me guy, so I want to see them play defense. It was non-existent last year, as you know. It was embarrassing at times. The 102 to 100 finale. I want to see
102 to 100. I think Colorado at one point made 11 straight field goals in that game in a 102-100 game, and they shot 65%. So to your point, I mean, Florida, as far as the numbers, they were the 94th team in the nation last year in defense. They were the number 12 team in offense. They would love to not necessarily pull that thing like this, but bring that defense up more. Obviously, to get closer, if they can get in the top 50, you're talking about a difference between maybe three or four games.
Absolutely.
And they have the personnel to do that. But to your point, I think their last in the month of March, I think opponents averaged almost 87 points a game against them. Now they won some of those games.
Yeah.
Won quite a few of those games, actually, including 2 against Alabama, Final Four team. But Alabama was 124th, I think, in the country in defense last year. It made the Final Four. So you can overcome it, but you have to be really, 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 really good on one side of the ball if you're really, really, really bad on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, you have to make a lot of shots. All right, we are here with Chris Harry, of course, from FloridaGators.com, covers Florida basketball like nobody else. He is the expert on Florida basketball, and it's time to play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with him. Brought to you, as the Zoom line is, by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Big Mills street dining done the right way, and if you go in there and say you listen to the podcast, free fries with your order, and go in there and enjoy one of those great cheesesteaks or one of those sausage dogs, which I understand in about a week and a half I'm going to be having those at a golf tournament, so I'm excited about that.
Bring some to go.
That's right. I'll get some to go. All right, number 1 on Yes, No, Where, Maybe with Chris Harry. The SEC will get 9 teams into the NCAA tournament. 9 teams are ranked going into the preseason.
9 is a lot, man. That is a lot. But in the last few years, the SEC has been either the second or the third ranked league. This year, going in by all power metrics of the things that people follow, the SEC is ranked as the number 1 team in the country, number 1 conference in the country this year. Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say an 8 because there's going to be an injury somewhere. There's going to be a team that's not as good. There's going to be issues with some team. 9 is a hell of a number, and I'm going to have to say no on that one.
Well, and that's the other thing is you never know. A team could lose a tough game and they all of a sudden they start spiraling down. We see this happen all the time. And again, when the league is so
portal issues,
yeah,
NIL checks not clearing, you never know what's going to happen with that.
That's right. All right, number 2 on Yes Nowhere, maybe with Chris Harry, Olivier Rocks?
Rial.
Rial.
Go Rial.
Okay. Rial. Olivier Rial
yes.
will play basketball for Florida this year.
7'9", in shoes, it counts. I don't think he's going to play this year. They don't need him to play. I don't think he's ready to play. Could you roll him out in some of those soft non-conference games? Yes. But this is when he was presented with the option to come here as a preferred walk-on. That was not in the plan. He's done everything he's asked of him. He stays after practice. He gets his extra work in. He's doing his cardio. But his skill set, Pat, is just not caught up to his size. And frankly, you don't know if it ever will. But you have to give the guy credit for what he's done so far. The plan is not for him to play. And for the people that are saying, just stick him under the basket and have him raise his hand, it doesn't work that way, okay? A guy like Ruben or Alice Condon can get into his body and score on him just about any time they want to. He has to learn how to play basketball a little better than he's playing right now.
Absolutely. It is. I mean, it's right now it's kind of a party game, or it's like a sideshow. Like everybody wants to talk about it, but it's not going to be a factor this year. Number 3 on Yes Nowhere, maybe with Chris Harry, Walter Clayton leads the SEC in scoring this year.
I mean, just because there's so many great players in the SEC, I would have to say, I'll say maybe. How's that? Because I'm giving you 2 no's. I could go with third no. I can get 3 no. But last year he scored 17.6. It was the most by a University of Florida player since Anthony Roberson, I believe, in 2004, 2005 maybe. Walter's, I believe, is going to have a great season. He's poised to have a great season. His work ethic has been terrific. He's really tried to improve some other elements relative to temperament. Maybe not necessarily temperament as much as how he goes about his practice every day. He loves to play. He wants to play all the time. And you're not playing when you're running 5-on-0 offense. And the Gators do a lot of 5-on-0 drills. They are playing a lot more. And he's a lot more involved when it comes to talking and defense and encouraging and stuff like that. So with a guy like Mark Sears, I think he was almost 21 points a game last year. He's the favorite to be the first team the SEC Player of the Year this year. It'd be hard pressed for Walter to score 20 a game or lead the league in scoring, but I really, really believe he's going to have a great season.
I think he and Wade Taylor the fourth are the only guys ahead of him on that are returning.
Good point.
Hey, you never know. Mm-hmm. You never know.
Some guy at Auburn. I think Pegues is the guy. Pegues from Furman could be a guy. He's a great 3-point shooter. Could fold into that, and you just don't know. It's probably going to be some guard. I mean, who knew about Dalton Connect last year?
No, that's what I was just going to say. Dalton Connect came out of nowhere. I didn't even know who he was. Next thing you know, he's the best player in the country. So
yeah, and he scored 25 straight points for the Lakers in a game the other night, in an exhibition game the other night for them.
He did. He can do
Hello. Yeah.
Chris, always a pleasure, man. I appreciate your time. Okay.
Yes, and we will see you out at Gator basketball, Pat.
Very soon.
Wait to have you there. Take care.
Okay, we appreciate Chris Harry from FloridaGators.com coming in and doing that. Or he didn't come in. He was on Zoom. He was on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. That's right, baby. All right, let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And, of course, Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville firm here for your needs in family law or workers' compensation. Call or text Ken and Jennifer 24/7 at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke, nearly 50 years of combined legal experience and about to celebrate their 5th anniversary in January. Ken was texting me during the game, and he was very happy about what was going on. And then right as he texted me, they ran back that 99-yard kickoff return, and he was like, "Uh-oh." I'm like, they'll be fine. They're still okay. All right, let's get to that. The Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Number 1, Vanderbilt ranked 25th for the first time since 2013. Actually, first time they've been ranked in the regular season since 2008. That was a long time ago. And that team got smoked by Florida, too. I remember that game at night because Tebow, I'm on the sideline, and Tebow comes up to me and goes, "We're going back to Atlanta, baby." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I knew that." Anyway, pretty cool that Vanderbilt's ranked. Now, interesting that they have Texas this weekend. Everybody is going to pick Texas, and by a lot of points, I can tell you that, because they're going to think Texas is going to straighten their problems out. Maybe they do have problems. Maybe those injuries that they had earlier in the year are a struggle. So, hey, look, Vandy, that Pavia guy is a real deal, man. It's going to be cool to see him. What is it? They've got T-shirts out there now. Is it Believe in Pavia or something like that they're selling, and he's actually making money off of? All right, let's go to number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, and that was the coolest thing I saw this weekend was Ricky Pearsall catching a pass for the 49ers. Now, I was rooting for the Chiefs, but if Ricky Pearsall had caught 8 passes for 190 yards and 4 touchdowns and they had won, I would have been happy. But just the whole story about him coming back from being shot. Luckily for him, the bullet passed completely through him, and he was able to get out of the hospital the next day and finally played yesterday and first catch. And he actually caught 3 passes for 21 yards. So he it's really cool that he was able to play 50 days after he was shot. And good for him. And I loved Ricky Pearsall when he was here. He was a big supporter of our golf tournament. He's just the coolest guy, and just heartbroken that day because it happened the day of the Miami game. And heartbroken that day when it happened. And to see him out there playing and playing well was good to see. So that's number 2. Number 3, and I didn't talk a lot about this, and there's a reason I didn't talk a lot about it, is I had a hard time watching any of it, but the Dodgers and the Yankees are in the World Series, okay? I hate the Yankees. They're number 1 on my hate list, and the Dodgers are number 3. So, I did root for them last night, but I didn't even watch it. I can't sit there and root for the Dodgers. I don't like the Dodgers. I could not have taken a Mets-Yankees Subway Series, though. That would have been too much for me. That would have been way too much for me. I don't think I would have watched any of it. In fact, I don't think I watched any of it the last time they played because I think the Mets beat the Braves to go. So that would have been like 2001, something like that. Anyway, none of this matters. Dodgers-Yankees, I'll take the Dodgers in 7. I think it'll go 7. There you go. There's my prediction. All right, let us move. That we appreciate Hesser and Kipke for the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let us move along to our Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem moment. The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today. All right, well, this is the play that I was watching this game, too. I was on my third TV. I had a great time Saturday. This is the play. It's just a kneel-down play, right? But this is the coolest thing, and this was mayhem. Going for the dunk. Hey, I'm surprised at Southern Cal. Maybe they just don't have any energy anymore, but I'm surprised nobody got really mad and, took a swing there. I'm not condoning that, but I am condoning these celebrations. Look, you can get away with anything now, as we found out Saturday night again. But that was the Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem moment because I mean, I've seen that on the sidelines. I've never seen it in a game. And I will get to the another play that happened in a minute. In fact, let's go ahead and get to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Weekend because this is another play. We appreciate Gallo Car Wash for being on board. The Carmine McLean interception for a touchdown. Now, let me see how many rules he violated. That's a great play. Great play, athletic. Okay, you can't do that. You can't taunt. He throws the ball into the stands. Then he sits up on the wall, and the whole team goes out to greet him, right? So that means there was 4 penalties they could have called on that play. I don't think you're allowed to go sit up on a wall like that. Now, maybe the refs didn't care at that point. The game was over. And maybe him throwing the ball into the stands maybe it didn't go all the way into the stands. I don't know. But anyway, you certainly can't back in. The point is, Billy Napier told his team, go ahead out there, man. This guy's been through a lot. And I don't know if we'll ever know the whole story about what happened with him out at Colorado and how we got back here. But the bottom line is, good for him. Maybe they'll have an interview session with him next week. Good for him. I tell you, that kid is skinny, man. I was surprised how skinny he was. But good player and certainly probably going to have to step up this week. Jason Marshall out. Devin Moore's been playing. Devin Moore played really good in that game. But they've been playing really well. Okay, that is our Hugh Cain Allstate Mayhem moment. Let us get to our Steve and Christine Wendig present the 12. And, of course, it's sponsored by Christine and Steve Wendig. They are at Boss Hart Realty. It's the place to go for all your realty needs. And we give you the 12 teams that we think would be in the playoffs this week. If it ended right now, number one, I would have Oregon. I let me tell you what, I thought about this a lot. This is the way I used to handle my ballot when I was a voter in the top 25. But I thought about it a lot. But I put Oregon 1 and I put Miami 2. I still think Georgia is the best of the three teams. However, Georgia does have a loss. It had one bad half. And Miami's got to win over Oregon's got to win over Ohio State. Miami hasn't looked that great, to be honest with you. And I don't know where their great wins come. They got FSU this week. That's like not a good win. To be honest with you, I want to mentally flip-flop these right now and go Georgia second, Miami third. It really doesn't matter. Anyway, BYU 4. I think they'll win the Big 12 right now. Penn State 5, Tennessee 6. Ohio State 7, Clemson 8, Notre Dame 9. Somebody complained about Notre Dame because they lost in Northern Illinois, but that's the only game they've lost. Indiana 10. Kurt Signetti getting some love from Gator fans now because they're going, well, maybe that's where we should go. But this is his first year as a coach. He's probably going to, I should have asked Coach about that. Maybe I will next week, win the award that Coach Spurrier gives for the best first-year coach. I think he's got to be the leader. Notre Dame, I mentioned that. Okay. 11, Texas. I still got them in there. And then 12, Boise State. Now, as I'm doing this and I'm crossing different teams out and putting other teams back in, I realize that although we thought, hey, 12 teams will be so much better access for everybody, other teams can get in, it won't just be the same teams over and over again, and nobody will be mad. Well, like last year when people were mad, Georgia fans were mad, FSU fans were mad. Well, nobody's going to be mad with 12 teams. I was doing this thing, and I'm like, man, I can think of 6 teams that are going to be really mad. And that would include Army. That would include SEC teams. For example, I don't have LSU in here right now. They've got one loss. Of course, right now, if they run the table, they'll be in. I think they'll lose a couple of games down the stretch. It's going to be more anger than it ever has because there's more teams that can get in. So that's only making it worse. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. All right, let's move along to our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend, and I gave this a lot of thought. I had several people in mind, including Ian Gilligan, who had a big tournament at the Shriners. But the Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend goes to the player who was the SEC Freshman of the weekend, and that is Jaden Baugh, who, look, you score 5 touchdowns at a game, you better be the Gator of the weekend, or somebody's coming after you. Now, I would think that Jaden Baugh will get the same thing for being SEC Freshman of the weekend as he gets for being Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend, which is nothing. But anytime you want to go, Jaden, I'll take you to Adams and buy you lunch. I can do that night with NIL now. Can I call, or do I have to go through NIL to do that? I don't know. I don't know the rules anymore. Anyway, he is our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend and Freshman of the weekend in the SEC. Let us get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick pick. You guys did really poorly this weekend, I got to tell you. I said you only had to get 2 out of 3 right. Most of you got 1 out of 3. There are some people that did get 2 out of 3. But I mean, we're going to try to make a draw, but I don't have many qualifiers right now because you guys keep missing. So come on, let's go. We had a lot of new people get in, too, names that I hadn't seen before. That was cool. So here's your game. It's Thursday night, Syracuse. This is a good game. I'm going to watch this game. Syracuse getting 3.5 at Pitt. Pitt, of course, with offensive coordinator Cade Bell, Kerwin's son. Look forward to watching that game. So that's your game. Syracuse plus 3.5 against at Pitt, Thursday night game. Should be a fun one. All right, let's get to our UF Surf Club. We got so many sponsors, and I am so happy. And I love that all you people are interested and have come to us and want to be part of it, and we just adore it. And we're going to do whatever we can to make you happy, including showing you. I told you the Florida Surf Club was going to do something cool at the parade, and here it is. They were surfing. Of course they were surfing. These guys, they have a good time, and here they go. Boom, they're surfing at the parade. You gotta admit that's cool. This is on Mondays. On Thursdays, we're going to give you the Florida Surf Club upset of the week, upset alert. On Mondays, we're going to give you the cool dude of the weekend, and the cool dude of the weekend is DJ Lagway, and here's why. First start, crowd's going nuts, You're honoring all these teams that came before you. You're honoring all these people. It's just an electric atmosphere, and you're playing against the number 4 defense in the country, and you diced them up. Now, I know he only completed 7 passes, but they were all pretty big passes. They were all really long. And not only that, but he ran early for some yards, got his slides in. Coolest customer of the week? No question, it was DJ Lagway. We appreciate the Florida Surf Club for being part of our show. We need to get to our movers. The movers brought to you by Oxstrong Moving Company. We appreciate Oxstrong Moving Company. Does my hair look goofy to you? I don't know. It feels goofy right now, but seems normal. Okay. Oxstrong Moving Company, the movers, and we look at the AP poll. There were a lot of movers. Texas goes down 4 spots, only to number 5, though. They're okay. If they can just win out, they'll be fine. And they'll probably, it's going to come down to the SEC championship game. Tennessee goes up 4 to number 7. Alabama down 8 spots to number 15 in the country. That Alabama situation is very dicey right now. I'm sure the fans they understand. Also, Indiana up 3 spots to number 13. So those are the teams that made the biggest move in the AP poll. And, of course, the teams that made the biggest move in Major League Baseball are the Yankees and the Dodgers, who moved into the World Series, which doesn't start till Friday. I don't know why we got to wait. I want you to start right away. Let's go. I want games on. I want 3 TVs in use at all times. All right, let's wrap it up with as we all like to do with our swamp games of the weekend. We were out there last Thursday. I don't know if we're going to be out there this Thursday. Well, actually, we were out there last Tuesday. We'll be out there next Thursday. I know that for sure. Come on out there and say hello to us. The Swamp, great place to go for dinner, great place to go for drinks, great place to go and have fun. I know that they were swamped this weekend because people were everywhere, and it was just a great weekend to be in Gainesville, FLA. Our Swamp games of the week. Well, Tuesday and Wednesday, there are 4 games being played, and I'm not going to give them to you. They're dog games, okay? Will I watch them? Third TV, maybe. I'll have them on. But they're not meaningful in any way. In fact, I looked it up. You can get into all 4 games, if you want to, for $67 total. That's a pretty good deal. Maybe we ought to do that. But you do have some good games. I mentioned the games on Thursday. Those are a lot better. Now, Tuesday, you also have the NBA starts Tuesday. So that's kind of cool. You have New York at Boston. That's a 7:30 game, and Minnesota at the Lakers. That's a 10 o'clock start. Both of them on TNT Tuesday. You also have a Syracuse Pitt game I mentioned earlier, 7:30 on ESPN Thursday in football. And then, of course, you get the Monday night games tonight. Wednesday, also, you have more basketball, NBA basketball. Milwaukee at Philadelphia and Phoenix at LA, 7:30 and 10 on ESPN. So we're cranking up where we have so much stuff on TV. Well, I need to get a bigger. I've got the longest notebook you can get, possibly, but I meant to get one that's even bigger. There's just so much stuff going on because of all our great sponsors and the great time of year that this is. We got so much football, basketball, baseball, hockey, everything you possibly want, and enjoy it. Enjoy it all, and hopefully you enjoy this podcast, and you'll be back Thursday when Danny Werfel joins us. Can't wait for that. Zach, great job as always, having to deal with all my idiosyncrasies, and appreciate him. And we'll be back with another show Thursday. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I'm way back, and I am out of here.